A hidden document, a father's secret decision, and a son suddenly erased from the royal future he was born to claim. Inside the marble walls of Dubai's royal palace, a storm has been building, one fueled by betrayal, ambition, and a power struggle that could change the fate of the emirate forever. This isn't just a family disagreement. This is about who will inherit one of the most powerful thrones in the world, and why one child's name has been crossed out of history without warning. For years, Sheikh Hamdan was more than just the crown prince of Dubai. He was the symbol of stability in a family known for its traditions, its legacy, and its unshakable public image. Beyond the cameras, his life was split between two worlds: the quiet devotion to his firstborn son, little Rashid, from his marriage to Hadia Zen, and the life he now shared with his current wife, Sheikha Thani, and their young son, little Mohammed. From the outside, everything seemed picture perfect. The palace gates stood tall, the royal family's smiles flawless in public, and the line of succession appeared clear. But behind those gates, whispers had already begun, whispers that hinted at secret meetings, closed-door deals, and a decision so explosive it could shatter the balance of the entire royal household. And as Hamdan went about his duties unaware, the stage was being set for a betrayal that would hit closer than he could ever imagine. The truth didn't arrive with fanfare, it slipped into Hamdan's life like a dagger in the dark. Somewhere deep in the palace archives, hidden away from the eyes of nearly everyone, was a single document. On its surface, it was nothing more than an official agreement, but in reality it was a bomb waiting to detonate. The words were clear. Little Mohammed, the young son Hamdan shared with Sheikha Thani, would be the next crown prince of Dubai. It wasn't just the content that made Hamdan's chest tighten. It was the fact that his own name, his own authority, had been erased from the decision. The agreement had been personally signed by Sheikh Mohammed, his father, without a single discussion, without a single warning. This wasn't only a breach of trust, it was a direct insult to the royal traditions that had guided Dubai's leadership for generations. Because by those traditions, the rightful heir was Hamdan's firstborn, Rashid, the son he had with Hadia Zen. Now, Rashid's name wasn't anywhere on the page. The signature at the bottom might as well have been a declaration. Your firstborn no longer matters. And as the reality sank in, Hamdan understood. This wasn't just a private matter. It was the opening shot in a war for the throne. Hamdan didn't waste time. The moment the truth reached him, he went straight to the source, or at least the people he believed had been pulling the strings, Sheikha Thani and her father. But instead of remorse or even a nervous attempt at explanation, he was met with something far more infuriating: denial. They claimed there was no such agreement, no signatures, no document that could change the destiny of the royal bloodline. Yet Hamdan knew better. His eyes had already scanned the very paper they swore didn't exist. He could still see the ink, the date, and the seal of the Dubai royal court. Their voices were calm, their words calculated, like seasoned politicians turning a scandal into smoke. Every sentence was designed to shift the focus, to confuse, to make him second-guess his own truth. But Hamdan's instincts, sharpened over years of navigating both politics and palace life, told him everything he needed to know. They were lying, and the lie was bigger than he'd imagined. If Thani and her father were willing to deny the undeniable, then the true mastermind behind this betrayal had to be someone higher, someone whose power could silence the entire palace. And Hamdan already knew exactly who that was. Confronting Sheikha Thani was one thing. Confronting Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, his own father, was another. For Hamdan, it wasn't just about power. This was the man who had shaped his life, mentored him, and prepared him to one day lead the emirate. Their bond had been built over decades on loyalty, respect, and blood. But now all of that felt like it was hanging by a thread. When Hamdan stepped into his father's private chamber, the air was heavy. Sheikh Mohammed didn't greet him with his usual warmth. Instead, there was a pause, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes, as if he already knew why Hamdan was there. Hamdan didn't waste time with pleasantries. He asked directly, his voice steady but edged with hurt. Was it true? Had his father signed the agreement to crown little Mohammed instead of Rashid? For a moment, silence. Then, slowly, Sheikh Mohammed nodded. Yes, it was true. He had done it, and his reason cut deeper than the act itself. He claimed it was to keep Sheikha Thani from leaving. He believed giving her son the throne would bind her to the family forever. As if that wasn't enough, he added something else. Little Mohammed was, in his eyes, the only royal baby boy truly fit to inherit the crown. Those words hit Hamdan like a blow. In that moment, it wasn't just his role as crown prince that was being undermined. It was his firstborn son's very place in history. Rashid, born before little Mohammed, was being written out of the royal legacy entirely. Hamdan left without another word. The bond between father and son, one that had once seemed unbreakable, had just been cracked wide open. Hamdan walked out of his father's palace in silence, but inside his mind everything was chaos. The conversation replayed over and over, each word cutting deeper. The betrayal wasn't just political, it was personal. It was a father choosing one child over another, erasing not just tradition, but bloodline. By the time Hamdan reached his own palace, the weight of it all had settled in like a storm cloud that refused to move. The marble halls felt colder. Every familiar face looked different, as if the very walls had been listening to secrets he wasn't meant to hear. He wasn't just disappointed, he wasn't just hurt, he was furious. Furious that Sheikha Thani had looked him in the eye and lied, furious that his father had made a decision that stripped his firstborn of his rightful place. Furious that the future of Dubai had been decided in whispers instead of in the open, and somewhere beneath all that anger was something even more dangerous, resolve. A determination that if they thought he would quietly accept this, they had underestimated him completely. But before any plan could be made, the first explosion came from inside his own home. The tension didn't simmer, it boiled over. Hamdan found Sheikha Thani in the grand salon, her posture composed, her expression unreadable. But the moment he spoke, the mask cracked. Accusations flew like arrows. His voice was raised, hers even sharper. Every word carried the weight of betrayal, every sentence a reminder of the lies she had told straight to his face. She didn't crumble under the pressure. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she met his fury with defiance, as if she had nothing to answer for. When the shouting reached its peak, she turned away, not out of guilt but pride. She locked herself in her bedroom, and the sound of the door slamming echoed through the palace like a warning. But behind those doors there were no tears of regret. If she cried at all, they were tears of wounded pride, not remorse. And in the days that followed, her behavior confirmed it. There was no apology, no softening. If anything, she became bolder. She moved through the palace with a new air, as though she had already secured her place as the mother of Dubai's next ruler. Every glance, every word, every gesture carried the same unspoken message. I've already won. It didn't take long for Sheikha Thani to turn her private victory into a public statement, at least within the small circle of people who mattered most to Hamdan. One morning, with a calm smile and a voice dripping in confidence, she picked up the phone and dialed a number she hadn't used in years. On the other end was Hadia Zen, Hamdan's ex-wife, the mother of his firstborn, now living quietly in London. Thani's reason for calling wasn't reconciliation, it wasn't peace, it was war. She wanted Hadia to hear it directly from her lips. Little Mohammed, her son, would be the next crown prince of Dubai. Her tone wasn't matter-of-fact, it was triumphant. Every word was chosen to sting, to cut deep, to remind Hadia that her own son Rashid had been erased from the royal future. For Hadia, the news wasn't just a shock, it was a challenge. Because if Thani thought this phone call would break her, she was about to find out just how wrong she was.